whether you arrive today joyous or with a heavy heart. We're so grateful that you've chosen to be here with us this morning. This morning, my dad, Eric Dahl, he/him, and I will be sharing a little bit about our experiences in the Adirondacks. To many, the Adirondacks are beautiful, but to us, their appeal is so much more. This morning, we'll speak of awe and wonder. Awe as in wow, and wonder as in We'll be reflecting on moments of excitement, of clarity, where everything seems exactly as it should be. Nothing is missing. Everything is essential. Before we enter into a time of meditation, I'd like to share a quote from Christian Cooper. For those of you who don't know, Christian is sometimes referred to as the Central Park birder for a video that went viral after he had a racially charged encounter with a dog walker in Central Park. He turned one of the worst moments of his life into a megaphone for inclusion and joy of birding. This quote from Cooper's most recent book, Better Living Through Birding, Notes from a Black Man in the Natural World, describes a similar feeling to the feeling I feel when I'm in the woods. Christian writes, birding shifts your perceptions, adding new layers of meaning and brokering connections between sounds and seasons, across far-flung places, and between who we are as people and a wild world that transcends and embraces us. In my life, it has been a window into the wondrous.
Let's take some time now to sit together in stillness. You might place your feet towards the floor with your hands resting in your lap or wherever they are most comfortable. Closing your eyes, watching the chalice flame or the sun setting over a mountain pond will quiet and center. I invite you to open your imagination. We'll play a short recording of the common loon. Imagine you are the loon, floating effortlessly on a mountain pond as the evening sky comes alive. You are exactly who and what you should be. Revel in your haunting, timeless song. We'll wait a few moments, and then Maria will call us back from our meditation with the prelude. Believe that our stories make us human. And the central theme of our stories is the search for those moments when we feel most alive and free. These moments of awe and wonder and love are the most precious thing we ever know. They are our direct experience with wonder and mystery. They are extraordinary and ordinary at the same time. I am alive to the extent that I experience this quality in my life. While these powerful moments of our life stories need not be outdoors, they very often are for me. At least that's been my experience. And maybe sometimes for you. These moments can be experienced anywhere: city streets, a friend's apartment, a concert hall, anywhere. In religious language, a person might refer to these moments as divine or spiritual. I prefer the language of a countercultural architect from Berkeley in the 1970s. It sounds funny to say that. Okay. Uh, but it's true. Christopher Alexander wrote a trilogy which was, for a time, a cult classic among certain students of architecture like me. To create places with timeless relevance, he suggested, we must first understand what he referred to as the quality without a name. Bear with me, and I'll explain. In his first book, The Timeless Way of Building, Alexander explains what he means by the quality without a name. Here are some abbreviated excerpts. There is a central quality, which is the root criterion of life and spirit in a person, a town, a building, or a wilderness. The quality is objective and precise, but it cannot be named. The search we make for this quality in our own lives is the central search of any person and the crux of any individual person's story. It is the search for those moments and situations when we are most alive. For me, these moments are plentiful when I'm in the Adirondack backcountry with people I care about. And many other times and places too, but in the Adirondacks, while backpacking, canoeing, or hiking, they are plentiful. My head understands that there is an interconnected web of life that we are all a part of, but when I'm in it, truly immersed in that web, my heart feels it too. The wholeness is palpable. Alexander continues, quote, "The fact is, the difference between a good building and a bad building, a good town and a bad town, a good forest and a bad forest, is an objective matter. It is the difference between health and sickness, wholeness and dividedness, self-maintenance versus self-destruction. It's never twice the same because it always takes its shape from the particular place in which it occurs. It is a subtle kind of freedom from inner contradiction, but to grasp it, you must overcome the prejudice of physics, which tells us that all things are equally alive and real. In physics and chemistry, there is no sense in which one system can be more at one with itself than another. But the view of the world which physics teaches, powerful and wonderful as it is limited by this very blindness. Indeed, this subtle and complex freedom from inner contradiction is just the very quality which makes things live. This oneness, or lack of it, is the fundamental quality of a thing, whether it is a poem, a person, a building full of people, or a forest. It embodies everything. He continues, yet this quality cannot be named. It is impossible to name because it is so unerringly precise. Alexander goes on to demonstrate why words can never capture the quality by circling around it with 7 other words that are close, but not quite right. Let's consider those 7 words. Alive. Alexander writes, "The word we most often use to talk about the quality without a name is alive. A well-made fire is alive. There is a world of difference between a fire, which is a smoldering pile of logs, and a fire which is made by a person who understands fire. The logs are exactly placed so they form channels for the draft. Each log glows with full intensity. The fire, when it dies, burns to nothing." But the very beauty of the word alive is its weakness. It's a metaphor, literally. We know that plants and animals are alive. Fire and music cannot be alive. Whole. Another word that we often use to talk about the quality without a name is whole. A thing is whole according to how free it is of inner contradictions. Compare the trees along a wild and wind-blown lake to those of an eroded gully with rain carrying the soil away. The system of the trees and the wind is whole. The system of the gully and rainwash is unwhole. But the word whole is too enclosed. When you call a thing whole, it makes you think that it is whole unto itself and isolated from the world around it. The word carries a subtle hint of self-containment, and self-containment always undermines the quality which has no name. Comfortable. He continues, "Another facet of the quality which has no name is caught by the word comfortable. The word comfortable is more profound than people usually realize. Places which are comfortable because they have no inner contradictions, because there is no little restlessness disturbing them. Yet the word comfortable is easy to misuse and has too many other meanings. It is easy to use the word for situations which have no life in them at all because they are too sheltered. Free. A word which overcomes the lack of openness in the words whole and comfortable is the word free. And yet, of course, this freedom can be too theatrical. A building which has a free form, a shape without roots, is like a person whose gestures have no roots in their own nature. This kind of so-called freedom is the opposite of the quality which has no name. Exact. A word which helps restore the balance is the word exact. But like all the other words, this word confuses more than it explains. The word exact helps to counterbalance the impression of other words like comfortable and free. These words suggest that the quality is somehow inexact, which it isn't. Of course, the word exact does not describe it properly. A thing has the quality without a name, never fits any image exactly. Egoless. A word which goes much deeper than the word exact is egoless. When a place is lifeless and unreal, there is almost always a mastermind behind it. It is so filled with the will of its maker that there is no room for its own nature. And yet, this word is also not quite right. Eternal. A last word which can help capture the quality without a name is the word eternal. All things and people and places which have the quality without a name reach into the realm of the eternal. And yet, like all the other words, this word confuses more than it explains. It hints at a religious quality. The hint is accurate, and yet it makes it seem as though the quality, which that pond or other place has, is a mysterious one. It is not mysterious. It is, above all, ordinary. What makes it eternal is its ordinariness. The word eternal cannot capture that. Alexander concludes, and so you see, in spite of every effort to give this quality a name, there is no single name which captures it. And yet, it is the most important quality there is in anyone, in anything. The search we make for this quality in our own lives is the central search of any person and the crux of any individual person's story. It is the search for those moments and situations when we are most alive. In our own lives, this quality without a name is the most precious thing we ever have. End quote. I seek this quality without a name as I experience the world around me. I find it comes easily when I spend outdoor time in the Adirondacks with people I love, especially my son Lars and his sister Sonia. Here are some moments from a recent trip in July that speak to the quality I'm trying to convey. The enchanting song of a hermit thrush, hidden in a silver-green forest, dappled in sunshine, as friends walk together on a soft pine needle path. The sound of the wind through pines as water softly laps against the shore of a mountain lake, sun drying your skin, still chilled from an invigorating swim. Stars in a clear Adirondack sky, far from city lights, revealing themselves one at a time as the sky darkens, until a tapestry of wonder takes your breath away and centers one's existence precisely. And here's a story about experiencing the quality without a name. Some years ago, Lars and I were backpacking with his cousin. We had not seen another person all day. We were in a very quiet corner of the Adirondack backcountry. We had found a place to pitch our tent. The boys were settling into their sleeping bags for the night. Food was stashed safely in a bear canister. I wandered into the twilight woods to brush my teeth. No flashlight, barely enough light to see. As I rinsed, my eyes caught another pair of eyes. 20 yards or so into the dark woods, a bear. The bear looked at me. I looked at the bear. And then something miraculous happened. It spoke. The bear uttered a deep, guttural, and I understood. I knew exactly what that bear was saying. I see you. Do you see me? I cannot overemphasize the complete sense of clarity of cross-species communication that I was experiencing. Web of life, we weren't just inhabiting the same ecosystem, we were having a conversation. Oh, I felt alive, all right, and strangely whole and complete. And while a tad nervous, there was an odd comfort about communicating so clearly with another species. I was free as a bird, entirely connected to the web of life and my own choices. The moment was exact and burned into my memory with perfect clarity and egoless. Just me, a bear, and two boys in a tent unaware. Eternal. Everything was real and wonderful. Call it spiritual, call it divine, call it the quality without a name. Well, I did what you'd expect. I communicated back. Hello, bear. I was just leaving. stepping slowly backwards. See you later. I had the distinct impression that the bear understood with the same clarity exactly what I was saying and appreciated the message. We had had a profound conversation and an ordinary one at the same time. Complete connection, utter clarity, no contradictions. We never saw each other again. I arrived back at the tent with, of course, a dilemma. Do I tell the boys? Hey, I just saw a bear, and risk arousing their curiosity to go looking for it in the dark? Or worse yet, instill an unnecessary fear that prevents them from falling asleep? No, I would wait until the morning and tell them then. So in the morning, I told them my story, followed by groans of disbelief. Yeah, right. Of course you did, Dad.
For me, the quality without a name captures the essence of emotions I feel in the woods. When I'm in the woods, I can hear the earth move. A squirrel burying an acorn, a bird calling out, the gurgle of the stream next to the path, the smell of hemlock trees in the alpine zone. On a cloudless night, I can see a sky full of stars. When this happens, I smile to myself and I say, this all around me is the universe. And this little spot here where I'm standing, that's where I belong. Beyond the beauty and wonder of nature, the woods is also the place where I think the best. Without the distractions of modern life, I reflect on the twists and turns of my own life, my hopes, my dreams, and the wider world around me. Despite my physical distance from civilization, reflecting makes me feel emotionally closer to those people and civilization that I care deeply about. It's that combination of personal reflection and the wonders of my surroundings that creates the quality without a name for me. I feel alive and connected to nature and society. I am whole yet undefined. I am comfortable, but not overly sheltered and protected. I'm free, but grounded to the universe around me. One trip that really captured this feeling was a trip I took with my dad in the summer of 2016 to the western Adirondack high peaks. The adventure started out like a typical trip as we hiked up through the Adirondacks. This trip being the summer of 2016, we inevitably started talking about politics. There was a lot to be afraid of in that election, but one of the things that scared me the most was the impact that that election could have on our climate. How could nature ever recover if we elected candidates that don't support the environment? I thought about that for a long while hiking that trail and was beginning to lose myself in despair when I came to a beautiful clearing that's called Duck Hole. Duck Hole is a valley that was dammed back when most of the Adirondacks was used as a lumber mill. The wildlife and ecosystem were destroyed in 1915 as the valley flooded, turning into a 61-acre pond. Loggers then used that pond to float trees that they cut down to send it down the river, not only disturbing the valley, but the land where the trees were cut. You might be wondering now why you can barely see any water in that photo. That's because in 2011, Tropical Storm Irene destroyed that dam and damaged a few others in the Adirondacks. Without that dam, nature began the process of healing by reclaiming Duck Hole as a valley, not just some big man-made pond. When we came to that clearing, it felt that nature was reading my mind. It was calling out to me that saying, if you humans can get out of the way, stop hurting the environment, I can heal. The earth was calling to me to be a better steward of the environment, and that carried with me, even though the election didn't go the way I wanted. That kind of special moment when the woods reaches out and talks to you is where I feel the quality without a name. At that moment, I felt a powerful connection, both to earth and to civilization, and I'm deeply grateful that the woods can offer me that. Our benediction this morning comes from Rachel Carson, the marine biologist, author, and conservationist whose writing, including her 1962 book, Silent Spring, are credited with advancing the global environmental movement. She wrote, "Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find the reserves and strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There's something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night, and after spring, winter." Carson suggests one way to open your eyes, or your heart if you prefer, is to ask yourself, what if I had never seen this before? What if I knew I would never see it again?